A pair of deadly shootings over the weekend are the latest in a series of gun crimes in one Springfield neighborhood over the past 3 weeks. Western Mass News reporter Glenn Kittle joins us live in studio after getting answers on what local leaders are doing to stop that violence. Glenn.
Western Mass News, they're upset with the volume of shootings seen over the recent weeks. I asked what they're planning to do to fight back against gun violence and restore a sense of safety for residents.
I'm pretty sad. I think a lot of things is poor communication. I think that we as a city need to work to help people deal with stress.
They needed sheriffs to stop all the bad guys. So how would you stop that? That should change the law.
Springfield residents share their reaction to the string of shootings in one particular area of Springfield over the past 3 weeks. On June 7th, around midnight, officers responded to a call of a double homicide on the 200 block of Union Street. Hours later, gunshots narrowly missed investigating officers at the intersection of School and High Streets. 2 more shootings in the area this past Saturday, the first on the 100 block of Spring Street around 7:45 p.m., with 1 person killed and 1 injured. Less than 2 hours later, just a short distance away, at the intersection of Temple and School Streets, more shots rang out, with 1 person killed and another injured. Springfield Mayor Dominic Sarno tells Western Mass News he has issued a call to action.
It's unacceptable, and it's a call to arms. This is a multi-pronged approach. Number 1, obviously the street attack. Number 2, which I've continually done, is funding many of our social service agency and youth development.
He tells us his office is currently working with law enforcement and community leaders to combat gun violence. However, he says more action is necessary.
Key here is that cooperation, because sometimes you're not even getting the victims that are speaking to us, let alone the witnesses, which means I'm going to have, and I will have more increased camera systems that are going to be out there.
Springfield City Councilors Zeta Govan and LeVar Click Bruce tell Western Mass News other contributing factors to the gun violence need to be addressed as well.
We have to look at the root cause of things, right? And we have to look at hunger, poverty that we have in the city, the high rents that are out there, the high cost of housing.
Once they get arrested, we got to make sure they're being kept. If they're being unlawful.
Coming up at 6, we'll speak more with local leaders about possible solutions to curbing gun violence in the city. Reporting live in the studio, Glenn Kittle, Western Mass News.
Springfield leaders are continuing their push to address an uptick of gun violence in the city. This as one of the children injured in Monday's fatal shooting in Springfield has died. Western Mass News reporter Kristen Brunell has the story. Kristen.
Chris, Mayor Dominic Sarno led a working meeting today with city organization leaders to discuss their ongoing efforts on combating gun violence in the city. They also addressed that fatal shooting that left 52-year-old Kim Fairbanks and now her 10-year-old granddaughter dead.
It just keeps getting worse every year.
It's something on everyone's minds right now, an uptick of gun violence in the city of Springfield.
It's not guns that kill people, it's people that pick the guns up and shoot people.
City leaders holding a meeting Thursday as Springfield hit a record number of 23 homicides so far in 2023.
Have we had a tough couple of weeks? Has it been a challenging summer, which is this national epidemic of gun violence? Yes, it has been in the city of Springfield.
Western Mass News has also learned that the 10-year-old girl injured in Monday's deadly shooting died on Thursday. She was transported to Boston Children's Hospital earlier this week. Also killed the girl's grandmother, 52-year-old Kim Fairbanks. A second granddaughter was shot but was released from the hospital. And a third grandchild, a 5-year-old boy, was not injured. Before the news broke on the young girl's passing, leaders shared their thoughts on the tragedy.
I'm so distraught because I just supported this family on Monday that the mother was murdered, and I was supporting them as well, and also the little girl. It's not good, but we are, this is what we do. We support families.
Meanwhile, various nonprofit organizations shared their efforts on how to combat violence in Springfield, starting with the youth.
We're going to start to do a universal membership where youth will be able to, wherever neighborhood they live in, will be able to use our organizations. Even if they're part of the South End, they can go to the Y, they can go to Boys and Girls Club.
If you have any younger individuals that need these type of services, whether it be employment, whether it be overall behavior change, whether it just be a place to go, where we can help them think differently and disrupt any negative thought process, send them to Roka.
A community resource guide has also been developed, aimed to help keep young people busy and safe.
The mayor has given us resources. We're going to use them to the best of our ability. And if we can give that child, that youth, a second chance, just like I got, I really hope that everybody in here is willing to do that.
This group of community leaders is expected to continue to meet as new solutions are put into place. And a list of those resources can be found over on our website, westernmassnews.com. Reporting in studio, Kristen Burnell, Western Mass News.
Breaking milestone this year, 27 homicides. Several of those cases have been resolved by the Springfield PD and the district attorney's office, with suspects identified and taken into custody.
But how many of them have been arrested before? Amanda Callahan is getting answers on what the court system is doing to address the concerns of repeat offenders.
This is an all hands on deck issue. No one entity can solve it. You can't. It doesn't matter how much police or prosecutions you have.
27 homicides in Springfield so far this year, a record-breaking number for the city. 16 cases have been resolved by the Springfield Police Department and the Hampden County District Attorney's Office, meaning suspects have been identified and taken into custody. While 2 of the fatal shootings were determined to be self-defense, according to court documents obtained by Western Mass News, 9 of those cases involve suspects who've been behind bars before. We're getting answers on how the issue of repeat offenders is being addressed in courts across the state.
We do a lot to, again, monitor and track, but I think you know that no system is perfect. I mean, I think the issue, the concerns of individuals, reoffending judges, and the trial court spend a lot of time trying to understand and monitor and track, but there is no system that is foolproof.
Pammerstedt Eiffel is a deputy commissioner for pretrial services for the state's probation services and has spent more than 30 years working in the Massachusetts trial court system.
A major part of my job is to create new programs and services within the pretrial realm to sort of bridge the gap between all of the different entities, whether it is the courts, whether it's district attorneys, sheriffs, programs, police departments, you name it.
Eiffel tells Western Mass News while it's nearly impossible to determine who will reoffend, the court system is making changes to try and lessen the problem. One of the new programs is an automated text system that sends out 2 different alerts reminding people ahead of their appearances.
We're hearing directly from individuals, yes, I completely forgot, and if I didn't have that text message, I would have missed my court date. People are actually showing up for court, and we're actually right now conducting surveys around the Commonwealth to talk to people who have either signed up or not signed up, and trying to understand what were some of the ways we can improve the text messaging system and whether or not it is helping.
Another effort from the trial court, training around 25 employees on helping offenders sign up for health care.
We live in a state where health insurance is supposed to be free, but in some of our courthouses, as many as 55% of people who are coming in aren't enrolled. If we want to get people into treatment, mental health therapy, counseling, whatever it is that a judge thinks a person needs, we want to make sure that health insurance isn't a barrier to that.
Addressing a suspect's mental health is part of what goes into a judge's decision when it comes to setting bail for repeat offenders.
Probably the fact that there's been the anomaly of the number of murders this year in the city as opposed to the previous years. And I think also the fact that you're seeing the issue of addiction become of greater significance, the issues of fentanyl and so forth that cause such damage to individuals, which then can lead to other crimes.
After digging into how many of those murder suspects were repeat offenders, we wanted to know why more of them were not being held behind bars for their previous crimes. Springfield City Solicitor John Payne worked as a judge in Western Mass for over 20 years. He tells us while bail is determined by a statutory requirement under law, it's also dependent on the circumstances of both the crime and the person.
There's the seriousness of the crime. There are also issues such as is the person a local individual? Do they have a residence? Are they employed? Are they a transient? And probably most importantly, if they have a criminal record, have they shown up to court in the past when they were required to show up to court?
Payne telling Western Mass News it's not always up to the judge to hold someone just to prevent them from reoffending. He agrees with Eiffel, saying it's difficult to determine whether a person will go back out and commit a crime, especially if they regularly appear in court.
You may not know when you hear a story like that whether or not the individual had bail placed on them and they made the bail. A judge is not allowed to place a bail on a person to keep them in jail. A judge is allowed to set what is a reasonable bail, and someone who is able to post the bail and gets out, well, they're out legally based on that aspect.
But that doesn't mean all suspects are let out on bail, even if they do show up.
If someone has a very serious charge brought against them, the law does allow the district attorney's office, and this district attorney's office is pretty aggressive about it, to seek a dangerousness hearing.
And next week, we're taking a deeper dive into those suspects who are repeat offenders in the 25 murder cases here in Springfield. Reporting in Springfield, Amanda Callahan, Western Mass News.